All right, it's time for episode 38 of the Press Box Podcast. And in this episode, we're going to be doing something a little bit different, kind of along the same lines of our Baseball Hall of Fame in or out we did for the previous two episodes. We're going to take a look at NFL's 100 all-time greatest players list, or the 100 all-time greatest players list according to their 100 all-time team that they released on NFL Network and the NFL put out here recently. And we're going to look at the quarterbacks specifically today. 10 quarterbacks made the list of the 100 greatest players in NFL history. And we're going to take a look at not only the players who made it, but some of the nominations who didn't make it, and talk about which of those guys we thought should make the team and which guys that are on the team that we thought shouldn't be on the team. So look forward to that coming up right now on the Pressbox Podcast.
Okay, so we have an interesting year this year. We have the 100th year of the National Football League. We also have the 150th year of college football. So two celebrations going on at the same time. Today, on this episode, we're going to talk 100 years of NFL football. And we're going to talk specifically about the 100th anniversary, or the 100-year anniversary, and the 100 top players in the NFL over the last 100 years. So it's kind of an all-extensive list, obviously, because it covers such a long time, and it was broken down by positions. So there were quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, offensive linemen, all categories, guards, tackles, and centers. Tight ends, I believe, had a special category. Defensive linemen, linebackers, and defensive backs, and then coaches and specialists. Specialists being punters, kickers, and return men. So today we're going to talk specifically about quarterbacks, and let's get started with that. I believe Nathan, they settled on 12 on the all 100 team. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we had 12. Was it 12 or 10?
I'm sorry, it was 10.
10.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
Sorry.
10 guys. Let's start by going over the finalists. Would that be a good way to start?
And just for clarification, and like you said, this list is put out by the NFL.
Correct.
We don't know exactly the
Criteria.
formulas or criterias, but it was released on NFL Network over the course of the season,
Right.
by position, and it's kind of their official top 100 players in the past 100 years, like you said.
Right.
Kind of like what the NBA did back in the 90s with the 50 greatest players.
Correct.
Correct. But yeah, we'll start with the quarterbacks. And how many finalists? Not people named to the team, but finalists.
Finalists.
Yeah.
Let's see. 22.
22 quarterbacks.
All right, 22 quarterback in the history of the NFL.
All right. So, and there were 10 that did
10,
not
okay.
that made it. Okay.
Right.
So first, let's go over. Throw out the names, Nathan, of the 22 quarterback finalists.
All right. Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Troy Aikman, Sammy Baugh, Terry Bradshaw, Drew Brees, John Elway, Brett Favre, Dan Fouts, Otto Graham, Bobby Lane, Sid Luckman, Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, Joe Namath, Aaron Rodgers, Bart Starr, Roger Staubach, Fran Tarkenton, Johnny Unitas, Norm Van Brocklin, and Steve Young.
Okay. All right. So those were the finalists that they chose from. So I'm going to start by throwing out two names that didn't even make the finalist list. Okay. And one of those guys, you guys will remember, one you won't, but Bob Greasy. Bob Greasy was the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, right? 2 Super Bowls in a row, right? A couple of AFC Championship games. Wasn't necessarily a big throwing quarterback because the Dolphins ran the ball quite a bit during those early 70s and during their great years. But he didn't even make the finalist list. And then you got Y.A. Tittle. Y.A. Tittle was a great quarterback back in the 50s and 60s for the New York Giants. And he won quite a few championships with the Giants. So it's interesting, by starting with that, to know that it obviously, championships had something to do with it, but Greasy didn't make it, right, for that reason.
Well, that's interesting because another guy I think of off the bat is Eli Manning. and you don't have him as a finalist, but they put Joe Namath as a finalist.
Correct.
He won more Super Bowls than Namath.
Right.
Namath, like I said, it's all about the guarantee.
Correct.
And his kind of bravado and stuff like that. That's what he's living off of to this day.
Well, I'm a big fan of Joe Namath, okay? But I agree with you. I think, Joe Namath is in the Hall of Fame, all right? But he was a finalist.
Right.
But you're right. Eli Manning had 2 Super Bowl championships, 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Namath had 1 of those, okay? I think Namath, his reputation is built on 2 things. Obviously, the biggest one being the guarantee, okay? And when it came, in other words, if a quarterback today said, I guarantee we're going to win this game, and they won it, I don't think it would carry as much weight as what Namath did, because you got to remember that was Super Bowl III. The Packers had won. It was before the merger, so there was an AFL and an NFL, 2 separate leagues, and the Green Bay Packers had won the first 2 Super Bowls by blowouts. Everybody thought going into Super Bowl III that the Baltimore Colts, who had only lost 1 game all year in the NFL, were going to destroy the Jets. All right, they were 18.5-point favorites. And Namath made his guarantee. They won, and that kind of forced the merger, if you will. And then it happened after that. That was one thing, the main thing. Second thing was he was the first quarterback in history to throw for over 4,000 yards. And he did it, I believe, in, I want to say, maybe the late 60s, or it might have been 1970. Well, today...
4,067.
67. Okay, so in 1967, you would agree, is nowhere near what the NFL is today. So to throw for 4,000 yards then was like throwing for maybe 6,000 yards today. So those 2 things, I think, is what gives Joe Namath his credo.
Mr. Trubisky didn't throw for 4,000 this year.
He didn't even throw 4,000 this year. That's right. In a league that kind of gives you 3,000 yards passing. That's right. Yeah. Jameis Winston threw for 5,000 yards this year.
That tells all you need to know about the league's passing state. But
that's right.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think he deserved the nomination, Joe Namath.
I agree.
We're just
I agree. But I think I guess you can't nominate 50 guys. So I guess you have to cut it off somewhere.
Right. All the nomination guys that were nominated probably deserved it. We thought of some guys that maybe didn't even get nominated.
Correct.
Maybe could be put in there.
All right. So having said that and having talked about the nominees, I think we agree that the 22 nominees were deserving to be on that list.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody that shouldn't have been on there. Really.
Right. I mean, of the ones they named,
I don't know anything about. Do you know anything about Bobby Lane?
Yeah, Bobby Lane was a very good quarterback. Right. Played for the Detroit Lions. He was a stellar quarterback.
I've heard of some of these names, but are they just because they're like famous football names like Sid Luckman and Norm Van Brocklin, or were they deserving of the list?
Norm Van Brocklin was a guy that threw for a lot of yards. He played for the Redskins and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Did you say Drew Brees?
He was nominated.
Okay,
yeah. What was the other name you threw out? Sid Luckman.
I know who he is. I'm just saying, what did he do?
Yeah, he was the quarterback for the Bears, and a lot of these guys. Remember, Bobby Lane, Sammy Baugh, Sid Luckman. These were guys that kind of. You got to remember, in the early years, in the 40s and 50s especially, the NFL was not what it is today. It was nowhere near what it is today. Not only the type of game, but people weren't going to the games. College football was by far more popular than the NFL. So these guys kind of took the NFL out of the real dark ages of the 20s and 30s and brought it into the public domain. So that's kind of their reputation, is what they did for the league, as more than maybe what they did statistic-wise or you know.
Right. Sid Luckman, though, led the Bears to 4 NFL championships during his 12-year seasons with them.
Correct.
So pretty good.
He did.
So I said before, kind of like baseball with the dead ball era, I consider anything before the Super Bowl I the dead ball era of football. So the Packers can have their little championships, the Bears can have their little championships. I count Super Bowls more than anything.
Just a correction, it didn't look like Wyatt Till ever won any championships.
Maybe he didn't. I thought he led to the Giants to a championship, but maybe not. I mean, I
know he didn't win no Super Bowls.
No, he didn't win any Super Bowls.
It didn't look like he won any championships, but okay.
All right. So we've talked about the nominees. Now let's talk about the guys who made the list. The 10 guys who made the list.
Start going one by one, and
let's talk about it.
All right. So first one on here is Sammy Baugh.
Okay.
So I'll ask you first, because he was still probably before your time, kind of.
He was, yeah.
But what makes Sammy Baugh deserving as opposed to any of the other old timers on there?
Yeah, Well, let's start by Nathan. Read the write up on Sammy Baugh there.
All right. Key accomplishments. He was a 4-time All-Pro.
Okay.
6-time Pro Bowl, which they had Pro Bowls back then.
I guess.
I don't think they played a game, but they were.
Okay, well then.
But how's it different than All-Pro?
More guys made it. Like
Pro Bowl
All-Pro
is
is one guy.
your conference
I
team.
got you.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I have some thoughts about the Pro Bowl, which I'll get into in a second. But go ahead.
He was a 2-time NFL champion.
Okay.
Inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1963. He split his career. He played from 37 to 52 with all of the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
6th overall pick. Split his career between QB, tailback, and punter.
Okay.
He led the league in passer rating, punting average, defensive interceptions. I don't know how that's a different than interception. Defensive interceptions in 1943.
I guess, yeah.
He topped the NFL in passing 6 times and tied for first all time with that record, having led the league 6 times. Completion percentage, topped the league in completion percentage 7 times, which is he's second all time in that. He topped the league in passing yards 4 times, tied for 4th on the all-time list. Passing touchdowns twice. He led the Redskins to 2 NFL titles.
Was he ever the MVP of the league?
42. He was never the MVP of the league.
Okay.
No. Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Obviously, all these guys.
Right.
Well, yeah. Like I said, he was a 4-time first-team All-Pro, which is the 5th most in NFL history among quarterbacks.
Okay.
He was named to an all-decade team and all this other stuff. Member
right.
of the 75th anniversary team.
Right. Well, let me throw out, too, that I think guys like Sammy Baugh and some of these older guys, I think part of the reason they're on there is they probably tried to balance this between old players, meaning 30s, 40s, 50s, middle age, 60, 70, 80, and then current time or newer times. So that's probably why some of them were considered. But I think based on that, Sammy Baugh, you'd have to consider him one of the all-time greats. I mean,
he was a coach, so they obviously didn't.
He was player coach or just a coach?
No, I thought he was. That's why I looked it up, but no. It looks like his playing career was 37 to 52, and then his coaching career looks like it was 60, 61, and then 64.
When you say, I know you said he split his career between different positions, but does it say if he served in World War II? I know we had that discussion with some of the baseball guys.
It doesn't. Let me
doesn't
see.
say.
Well, I can find it.
Nathan, for those of you listening, Nathan wears many hats for us. Not only is he a producer, but he's joining the podcast. He's also the quick-fingered computer guy, so you can find information for us pretty quickly.
No, on Pro Football Reference, it lists his playing age from 37 to 52 without stop.
Okay, so he didn't serve.
We said Wyatt Tittle was not.
He was not a finalist. No.
He wasn't even a finalist.
He wasn't a finalist. No.
At all.
No.
Okay, well, he played from 48 to 64, so a little bit of overlap with Baugh. And his career numbers are better. He 242 touchdowns compared to 187, 33,000 yards compared to almost 22,000.
And he was the MVP.
Yes.
And he won MVP. Didn't win any championships. So, yeah, it's like...
Did he lead the league in any categories?
Wyatt Tittle?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He led the league in... Actually, he never led the league in yards.
He led the league in touchdowns 3 times.
Yeah.
Completion percentage twice.
Was he ever All-Pro?
He was a 3-time All-Pro.
Yeah.
So I don't know,
yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's a really good point.
That's why we don't really know what they were choosing on.
Right.
Well, it looks like Sammy Baugh led the league in a number of different stats, multiple times, I guess. But it's not... The other guy was an MVP once, though.
Right.
And the other guy, Wyatt Tittle, was only, one less All-Pro did? So it's...
Right.
I guess the championships, two-time NFL champion Sammy Baugh.
I guess that might have something to do with it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel like just like... Well, Wyatt Tittle, they're about the same. I was going to say the aura of each, but they're both about the same. I think they both have similar kind of auras in the history of pro football.
Mm-hmm.
They're both big names.
But I mean, I can't argue with Baugh being on the team. I guess.
No, I can't argue with it either. But I mean, I
why
guess...
not Wyatt Tittle? Why him over Wyatt Tittle? If you're going to pick a guy from that era.
Yeah.
I guess unless they considered Wyatt Tittle a different era because he's a little more present than...
Yeah, maybe he ran up... Maybe they broke it down by era, and he ran up against some guys in that era, like Otto Graham was in that era. And
Unitas overlapped a little bit. But
right.
Do you think they really said we're only taking so many from each era?
I don't know that they did that. I'm just throwing that out there.
They must have, because...
Shouldn't just be best quarterbacks
right,
overall?
But I think Drew Brees is better than Wyatt Tittle, don't you?
Yeah.
Or not Wyatt Tittle, Sammy Baugh.
Well, maybe they weren't looking at... They were looking at probably maybe they were in their time. Not if you compare them now, he's better. But maybe Sammy Baugh was like the Tom Brady of his era. You know what I'm saying?
Drew Brees has passed for more yards than anybody in history. It's pretty good for his era or any era.
Yeah, but again, you have to balance that by the fact that it's so much easier to throw today.
Right, and he still has more yards than a lot of these guys. He's got more yards than Peyton Manning. He's got more yards than
that's true.
Brady. He's got more yards than.
That's a good question. Why is I can Brady give him the championships? We'll get to these, but Manning versus Brees. Why is he? Manning has 2 Super Bowls. Brees has 1. Manning led 2 teams, I guess.
Right.
Well,
so did Brees.
Right, but
he was in the Chargers for a while.
Led 2 teams to the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But Manning obviously has his. Well, I don't know.
I can speak to this more because I've seen them play. Manning is the best quarterback in history, in my opinion, just playing quarterback.
No, he's a better quarterback. Yeah. I'm just saying, if you look at their numbers, what stopped him?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe the more modern guys, you can look at, Manning was obviously better at quarterback than Brady, just by watching them.
Right, but like you're saying, how come Brees couldn't take the spot of a Graham or
that's what I'm saying. They must have obviously given spots to old guys.
Yeah. They had some spots for old guys. They had to have, yeah. Because if you just looked at, we're going to take the 10 best quarterbacks of all time.
There'd be no guys.
There wouldn't be any guys from the 40s or 50s because they can't compare. I mean, now, you could say Sammy Baugh because he played different positions. Not many guys are able to do that. But still, there's no way they can compare to the guys today.
I don't know. I guess my point is, though, they could compare if you look at them in the era that they play. Now, they might not compare still because Drew Brees is better in any era, but that's the way you compare them, though, right? Like, if Sammy Baugh led the league 4 times or whatever, I don't know what it was, in passing yards, that would be the equivalent of somebody today leading the league 4 times in passing yards, which is maybe I don't know if anybody's ever done that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right, I understand. Yeah.
Because it says that Sammy Baugh, what did it say? It says he's tied for the first all time in leading the league in passing 6 times. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So like that would probably mean he's.
All right, but you also said he was Pro Bowl 4 times, Sammy Baugh, and Pro Bowl 6 times, All Pro 4 times, correct? Yeah. All right, check Brees on that. What did Brees do, Pro Bowl and All Pro? Not that it matters a whole lot, but
Drew Brees was 13-time Pro Bowl, only 1 time All Pro.
Okay, all right.
See,
because it's 1 per.
The All Pro carries the most weight for a couple reasons. 1, it's the whole NFL, not just your conference.
Right.
2, they don't play a game, so they only name
one per position.
So there's 1 quarterback across the whole league.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it's never going to be a Brees.
Now,
people played with.
The problem with the Pro Bowl is, 1, just like you said, it's your conference, and multiple teams make it. And you play games, you have to have a roster. Right. So you have 3 quarterbacks from the NFC make it.
Right.
Well, guess what? 2 of them, one of them's or the AFC, say. One of them's Tom Brady. He's old. He don't want to play in it. I don't think I'll play. Well, then they add Phillip Rivers to the Pro Bowl.
Right.
Phillip Rivers is a Pro Bowler that year.
Right.
Well, so is Tom Brady, even though he didn't play in the game. Then another guy pulls out. Then you got another guy. So you got 6 Pro Bowl quarterbacks from the AFC during 1 year.
That's
ridiculous.
Correct. That's a big factor. Yeah. Is that a lot of these guys have injuries or just don't want to play. So Joseph's right. Some guy may make 5 Pro Bowls, but he really wasn't the first Pro Bowler guy selected. Right. Yeah. So All Pro carries the weight, and that's interesting that Sammy Baugh was 4-time All Pro, and Drew Brees was only 1-time All Pro.
Yeah. But again, though, I guess you could also look at. I guess if you're that great, this shouldn't matter. But look at who they played with. His career happened to overlap with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, like Joseph, probably the best quarterback of all time. Tom Brady probably number 2 or top 3. Sammy Baugh might not have played with any of those other great quarterbacks.
That's true. That's a good point.
Like what if Drew Brees' career would have been from what if Drew Brees would have started his career 3 years ago?
Right.
And he hits his prime after both Brady and Manning ran out of the league.
Right.
He's going to be an All-Pro a couple times.
And what if his first 5 years or 6 years wouldn't have been with the Chargers? What if they would have been all with the Saints? Maybe they would have done. He would have had more. I don't know.
More pros.
Well, you never know. I don't know. It's possible, right? We don't know. All right, so we agree. Sammy Baugh probably deserves to be on there. All right.
Next on the list is Tom Brady.
Well,
you want me to do this by years they played, or just the website I'm looking at?
No, it's interesting. I have a little bit of an agenda here, but it's not going to fly. But read us Tom Brady's accomplishments.
Okay, he was a 3-time NFL MVP.
3-time
2007, 2010, 2017.
Okay.
3-time All-Pro.
Okay.
14 Pro Bowl.
Well, that's
6-time Super Bowl champion.
Right.
4-time Super Bowl MVP.
Okay. See, that carries a lot of
weight. And this website just caused me to question the accuracy of everything because they say he's inducted to the Hall of Fame in 1989. So
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah.
so
That's got to be it.
so I may go away from the official NFL's top 100 website there because I don't know what's up with that.
They probably somebody probably put it in there and they didn't catch it. Yeah.
Well, I guess the other stuff's correct. I'll go to
Maybe
Pro
they
Football
meant
Reference.
2089 by the time he retires.
Let me go to Pro Football Reference though because I trust that. Okay, I think this matches up. Okay, 3-time MVP, 6-time champion.
Yeah.
3-time All-Pro. It's probably all correct.
Right.
Okay.
He obviously needs to be on the team.
He does, yeah. I mean, let's face it, Tom Brady. I guess what I was trying to say was, it comes back to and again, this probably is not a criteria, but it comes back to, is it Brady or is it Belichick? You know, I mean, in other words, and I know you can never compare this, but let's say that Brady and Manning, they overlapped a lot, right? Let's say they would have been on the opposite teams. Manning would have been with Belichick, and Brady would have been with the Colts. I would argue that Manning would probably have 6 or 7 Super Bowls, if not more, and Brady would have maybe, if one, he might not even have one. Okay, because you got to remember the year the Colts won the Super Bowl. You guys may not remember this. In the AFC Championship game, they were down 21-3 to the Patriots at halftime. Manning surgically took the Patriots apart in the second half and brought them back to win that game. Manning, if you put him with Belichick, I really believe that it would have been a totally different story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
Was that the game that maybe I have my games mixed up? Was that the one where they threw that pig in the middle of the field in the game?
Yes.
In the dome.
Yes.
Brady threw the pig.
That was it.
See, that would tell you, answer you Brady's question. Did Brady get it done without Belichick and the Colts? But doesn't answer Belichick's question because you also handed him the greatest quarterback of all time.
Correct.
Arguably. So the question would be,
I think you answered
put an average quarterback with Belichick.
Okay, but I think you answered the Belichick question by saying in 2008 when Brady tore his ACL in Game 1, he had what was that guy's name?
Castle.
Matt Castle, and they went 11-5.
They didn't make the playoffs.
They didn't make the playoffs, but they were 11-5 with a quarterback that was no good.
And Matt Castle got a big deal after that. He really didn't.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then when Brady was suspended for 4 games in 2016, maybe was it?
Yeah.
It was 16. They were 3-1 with Jacoby Brissett and Garoppolo. Okay, so my point is, I think Belichick can do it with anybody.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But Brady deserves to be on
2016. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a thought, but I forgot what it was now. But
all right.
You want to hear Brady? I think it's funny. Pro Football Reference lists all nicknames for people. You want to hear all of his nicknames?
Yeah.
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
TB12,
Right.
Tom Terrific,
Right.
Touchdown Tom,
Right.
Goat,
Goat.
the Pharaoh, which I've never heard of. in my
Never
life.
heard of that. Yeah.
Comeback Kid or Sir, just Sir. They have on.
I think these nicknames they just pull out.
Comeback Kid is ridiculous. When did he ever have to come back from anything?
Well, they have additional. I'm sure they have it for all current quarterbacks here, but they have a stat line on Pro Football Reference.
Fourth quarter comebacks.
Comebacks, yeah, fourth quarter comebacks.
What is it?
Well, you see his all time.
Yeah.
36.
Okay.
He led the league with 5 in 2013, 4 in 2007. He led the league twice.
Okay.
It must be an offensive scoring drive in the fourth quarter with the team trailing by 1 score, though not necessarily a drive to take the lead.
Yeah.
Only
Eli
games
Manning
ending in a win or a tie are included.
Eli Manning had a lot of those as well. So I don't know that that's a really.
But that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Probably won't find that stat for Sammy Baugh.
No, probably not.
All right.
Actually, they do. He only had 1 in his whole career.
Wow.
That's why he's not called the comeback kid.
I guess.
How many did Eli
Slinging
Manning
Sammy,
have? How many did Eli Manning have?
Let's see here.
Because I think he had quite a few.
Eli Manning.
How many had? He's still playing.
Well,
Talk about past tense.
27.
27.
He led the league with 5 in 2011. That's the only time.
That's the year they won the Super Bowl.
He's gonna have 2 or 3 with Tampa Bay next year. Go ahead.
They also have a stat of game-winning drives,
Right.
Which is another thing. So
And Manning had 2 of them in the Super Bowl.
yeah, they don't have.
Of
that
course,
on
Brady
it, but
probably
yeah,
did too. But anyway, all right. So Brady, we agree deserves to be on there. Okay.
All right. Next on the list, John Elway.
I think he's a little overrated.
I agree.
Just in terms of history, but
Want me to read some of his stuff?
Yeah. Everybody all pros. None. Interesting.
9-time Pro Bowl.
Doesn't matter.
2-time Super Bowl champion.
Right.
MVP once.
Right.
Let's see what the website officially says here.
No.
Super Bowl MVP once.
Right.
Hall of Famer.
Right.
Let's see what is it. He's one of 10 QBs in NFL history with 50,000 plus passing yards.
Okay.
He led the Broncos to 5 Super Bowl appearances, second
Right.
most for a QB.
Right.
He's the Broncos' all-time leader in passing yards, passing touchdowns, completions, attempts, and QB wins.
Yeah. All right.
And
when you're done,
some others like Man of the Year, All-Decade Team.
All right. Well, here's my thoughts on. I agree with Joseph. I think Elway's way overrated. Okay?
He's ranked second all-time passing yards, third passing touchdowns. At his point of retirement.
At his point of retirement. Okay. All right. Is that one? He was never an All-Pro. 2, he won both those Super Bowls because they ran the football. Okay. In other words, it wasn't his arm that won those Super Bowls. Okay. It was the fact that they decided they had Terrell Davis and they ran the football. Okay. And yeah, he led a team to 5 Super Bowls, but they got crushed in 3 of those.
Did his arm lose him the Super Bowls in those years?
Well, I don't know. That's a good point. We don't know that. Okay. And did they get to the Super Bowl because they were in a weak conference? I mean, that's another thing. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know that leading your team to 5 Super Bowls necessarily makes you.
The one Super Bowl got there because of the drive.
That's true. He did get there because of the drive.
Give him credit.
We'll give him credit for that. But I think here's another question.
I said he was a little overrated, not way overrated.
Okay, but here's another thing. Does Elway deserve to be on there over Drew Brees?
Yeah, I feel like Drew Brees needs to sneak his way in there over somebody. Maybe it's Elway. I don't know.
Especially, I don't know when they voted, but especially given after this season, because he just surpassed a couple all-time records.
Yeah,
this season.
All-time touchdowns.
I'm okay with keeping Elway in there for now. Maybe we'll come back and remove him, but I want to. Maybe Brees will take Marino's spot. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Are we done with Elway?
I'm done with
So
Elway.
you said you were going to hold on him, Joseph.
Yeah.
I'll hold.
I would take him out right now.
But remember, did they decide, is there a set
10.
number for each position, or they're just going to see however many
No, I
they
think
think?
there's
there was a set number for each
Okay,
position.
so then maybe you would have to wait on him to see if you're going to take him.
Right.
He has no nicknames, so that's what I don't know what that says about it. All right. Brett Favre. All right. From 91 to 2010.
I think we're going to have a little disagreement on this. Go ahead.
Ooh. 4th all-time in passing yards, in passing touchdowns.
At the time of his retirement?
No, I'm getting to that.
No.
4th all-time in passing yards, in passing touchdowns. It's tied for 2nd in QB wins. At his time of retirement, he led the NFL in each of those categories.
Yeah.
He was the leader in each of those.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Pretty much everything. He made a record 297 straight starts at quarterback. Only player with 3 straight NFL MVP awards.
How many All-Pros?
He won 3 All-Pros. All right. Super Bowl champion twice. NFL best 8.
No, one Super Bowl champion.
Okay, well, this website messed up again. You're right. 1.
Super Bowl appearances twice.
Yeah.
Well, this way, I almost want to go completely away from this website. So everything I say, I guess, I don't know, but
And he wasn't the MVP of the Super Bowl. Go ahead.
It says he was NFL best 18. Has NFL best 18 career 3,000 yard seasons. Has a passing touchdown and an NFL record 20 straight playoff games.
Wow.
And that's about all I'll give you there. And I guess if you want to debate any of those, you're open to debate because that plays.
I said that, in my opinion, he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
I thought you said Manning was.
Manning's the best at playing quarterback. When you add it all together, Manning's technically a better quarterback than Favre, but Favre is a better player, a football player.
So if you could only have one of your team, who would you have?
Favre.
Okay, yeah, so that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're.
So he deserves to be on there.
I think what you're saying is Favre can make more things happen than Manning can. Manning is a drop back pocket passer.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Well,
Manning or Favre was able to.
It's more versatile. He's more exciting.
Much more versatile. Yeah.
He can kind of fit. He can kind of force things to happen almost, right? Like, I don't know.
Well, let's talk about this part. I bet you, how many interceptions did Favre throw?
A lot.
Okay, interceptions.
He led the.
I think he's got the all-time record.
336 interceptions. He led the league 3 times.
Okay.
The highest he's ever thrown was 29.
Okay, so that brings up an interesting point because I heard a news conference. Philip Rivers had a news conference after their last game Sunday, and he was getting emotional and stuff because there's rumors that he's not going to be back with the Chargers next year and so forth and so on. But he said he threw 2 interceptions in that last game. One was at the end of the game when they were down by 14, and he said, I'm never going to apologize for interceptions because I'm still trying to make things happen. I always think we have a chance to win, and I always think I have a chance to make a play. I'm not going to think, hey, this is going to give me a bad stat, So I guess my question is, should that even be something that you consider, interceptions?
I don't think so, because like you said, you don't know when they came in. Maybe they came in games where they're down by the line trying to force it. They didn't all come in pressure situations.
Correct.
Favre does lead. He is the leader all time with that. He's the only one with over 300 too.
Right. I wish there was some way they could break it down by interceptions in pressure situations, or trying to make things happen, or just stupid interceptions. You know what I mean? Like Jameis Winston throws dumb interceptions. Okay, so in other words, I bet you Favre's interceptions, I'll bet you 60% of them were what we talked about. He was trying to make something happen. He was trying to fit something in a spot, whatever, as opposed to overthrowing a receiver, making the wrong read, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think interceptions. I don't think it should really be considered that much.
All right. And based on what you just read, I have to change my opinion. I think Favre deserves to be on there.
Which is, yeah.
So you agree with that? Okay.
I'm good with Favre.
All right, next on the list is Otto Graham. Played from 1946 to 1955. I'll read you. It looks like the bios on these guys are pretty much accurate, but the key accomplishments are going to have to go to Pro Football Focus.
All right.
So the bio on him, he led the Browns to division/league title game in all 10 seasons, winning 7 times, with 3 NFL titles: 1950, 1954, 55.
Okay.
NFL career record 8.6 yards passing per attempt.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
All right. He's a career 810 winning percentage as a starter.
Okay.
Best in NFL history with a minimum of 50 starts.
Okay.
This says dominant in NFL title game wins. He threw 4 touchdown passes in 1950 title game, 3 passing, 3 rushing in 54, 2 passing, 2 rushing in 55. Let's see here. Now let's go to his key stats onto the website.
While you're looking that up, though, here's an interesting thing about Otto Graham, and I think you can back this up. He played. The Browns were part of the old American football AAFC or something like it. It was an old league or something. Okay, and then they merged into the NFL. So a lot of his accomplishments did not come in the NFL.
Interesting. He's 7-time All-Pro.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it says. It says 3-time NFL champion, 4-time AAFC champion.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So that throws a little bit of a doubt in it.
It also says that his 7-time first team All-Pro is tied for most among any quarterback.
Is that in the NFL?
But that's not all NFL though. But see, that's the problem is that whenever you merge leagues, all those records come with you.
So they didn't just start over.
Right. I
don't know how to figure that. I'd have to dig into when the. I mean, it's not really available to me right now.
No, that's fine. I'm just throwing that out there for consideration.
I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but they don't start listing his jersey number until 1950s. That means those years before he won.
I've heard enough. He's out for me.
Okay.
He played in a league that was arguably as competitive as the Arena League for like 5 years. So
and he wore number 60 actually.
When he started wearing a number, he wore number 60.
Yeah. So I know what you're saying, but when they merged the leagues, all those. If you want to say all those bad teams or bad players were then in the NFL too. It's just that he didn't have to compete against the better players in the NFL.
Right.
But they didn't have a cut. All those guys that were from the AAFC weren't cut from the league when they merged in the NFL. They were merged into the NFL, so it diluted the NFL's total talent some.
Yeah.
But he didn't have to play against the NFL people.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think this is going to be a poor analogy, but it's kind of like, you played linebacker, right, at Maryville High School, all right? So let's say that for your first 2 years in Maryville High School, you guys played in the private high school division, okay? So you played teams that didn't have a lot of talent, were small guys. I mean, you might have had 300 tackles, okay, and two interceptions a game. But then when you moved to the other one, you had maybe less tackles, but you still were a good player. My point is, but when all those numbers are going to carry with you, but should they be discounted based on the competition you played against? You see what I mean?
I understand.
And that's all I'm saying. I think Otto Graham was a great player, don't get me wrong, and he deserves to be a Hall of Famer, but does he deserve to be one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks in 100 years?
I agree.
I don't think so.
And look at some of this. I just found out the All-America Football Conference was founded in 1944. Inaugural season was 46. It ceased in 1949.
Okay.
Right. Otto Graham's first year was 46. So you start with him, and that's where his jersey number picks up too is 1950. I guess they didn't know what jersey he wore.
Right.
But anyway, so he played 4 years in that league.
Right.
In 3 of those 4, he led the league in passing.
Right.
With 2,700 yards, over 2,700 yards each of those 3 times.
All right, let me ask you this. He led the league in passing 3 times in the AAFC. How many times did he lead the league in passing overall?
Okay,
just over
5.
Okay,
That's
so
2 in the NFL.
So
2 in the NFL.
Twice in the NFL over his last 7 or 8 years.
But I will say though, of the 2 he led in the NFL, all right, only what am I trying to say? His 3 he led the AAFC probably would have led in the NFL too, because he led in the NFL with 28-16 and 27-22.
Right.
He led in the other league with 27-53, 27-13, and 27-85, which are, it's not like he led with like 2,200s.
Right. That's true. Okay.
But he led the league. He led that offshoot league twice in touchdowns, only once in the NFL.
Right.
In touchdowns.
Right.
He led the NFL in interceptions 1 year. We talked about that. I don't know.
That's your guy to put Breeze in place of it.
Yeah, right now.
All right, so right now we're both in agreement that we're questionable about Otto Graham.
So why do you think he got in there?
No, I'm out on Otto Graham.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why he got in. That's a good question.
I'd like to find out if that 7-time All-Pro includes... All-Pro is only an NFL thing, because that's All-Pro. That's probably the thing they started, right?
I don't know.
All right, next, Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I mean, do we even need to discuss Peyton Manning?
Not that much.
I'll read some stuff.
I was interested to hear his all-pro
Go ahead.
numbers. But go ahead.
Okay. NFL record 5-time NFL MVP. All right, he's 3rd all-time passing touchdowns, 3rd all-time in total passing yards. He set NFL single-season records for passing yards, passing touchdowns. Wait, didn't Brady? He broke the passing touchdown record, didn't he?
Yeah, Brady's got 50.
He set a record at the time, though.
Okay,
At the time he did, yeah.
No. Manning broke Brady's record.
Did he? Manning threw
For the Broncos.
55.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Okay, he did. Okay, so
Mahomes broke Manning's.
Yeah, he did. You're right.
So he doesn't.
But he did set a
Yeah,
record.
he did. Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't
at the
hold
time.
the record,
Okay,
but he
yeah,
set it. Yeah.
One of 8 QBs with 7 passing touchdowns in a game. I remember that game.
Yeah.
Only starting quarterback. We'll have to dissect this a bit, given the side. Only starting quarterback to win Super Bowls with 2 franchises. I guess that's true, right?
Manning?
A lot of people have.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody else.
Yeah,
that
a lot of
won.
people have taken 2, but they didn't win.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. 2-time NFL Offensive Player of the Year. Blah blah blah. Let's see here. He's a 7-time All-Pro.
7-time All-Pro. Wow.
Right. And a 5-time MVP league, which I said was the leagues of the NFL.
Yeah.
2-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
Man, obviously in.
Yeah.
And I think too, the leading 2 different teams to Super Bowl championships becomes even more important when you consider that after that he was basically, we didn't even know if he'd ever play again with that neck injury.
Yeah.
And not only did he come back and play, but he basically led the Broncos to the first year he was with the Broncos. They lost that division game to the Ravens when the Ravens won the Super Bowl.
It was that last second pass.
Right.
Yeah.
The next year he took the Broncos to the Super Bowl and they lost to the Seahawks. And then in 15 he took the Broncos to the Super Bowl and they won. So yeah.
I've never thought of that. He took him on the cusp of the Super Bowl back three years in a row.
3 years in a row. 14 they didn't.
Yeah, 14 they didn't, but 12, 13, and
yeah.
15. Yeah.
And like you said, in 12 they had basically gotten there. It was that last second pass.
That's correct. Yeah. That's correct.
Interesting. So
very interesting.
I think that's about it with him, right?
Yeah.
All right. Next on the list
Secure.
is Dan Marino.
Okay.
Interesting. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Like when he retired, he had all the records.
Pretty much.
Pretty much, right? So they're looking at him for his pure passing prowess, but he didn't win anything.
No.
He got to 1 Super Bowl his second year in the league, and that's it.
All right. So let's see what his bio says there.
Like Matt Stafford.
Like as you said, he retired as the most prolific passer in NFL history, leading in completions, attempts, yards, touchdowns.
Okay.
Still ranks. Let me look at his all-time ranking here.
I think he threw like 420 touchdowns or something like that. Which is kind of lower on the list now.
Right.
Ranks 5th all-time in yards.
Right.
Right now.
Right now.
Passing touchdowns, he ranks 5th. He 420.
Yeah.
You're right. And then let's see some of the other stats here. was the first player with 5,000 passing yards in a single season ever, while throwing a then record 48 passing touchdowns.
84,
Yeah,
84. He was the 84 NFL MVP.
How many All-Pros?
All-Pros, he has three. Three-time All-Pro.
Okay. MVP?
He was a one-time MVP.
Okay.
He topped the NFL in completions with a league record 6 times.
Okay.
So that's about, and he was
What
some other like man of the year, this and that.
What year? What was his years? 83 to what?
99, right?
He played from 83 to 99. Yeah, and his 3 All-Pros came back to back to back.
Okay. All right. This might be a little hard for you to find, but I'd like to find.
Can 84 to 86 was All-Pros.
Okay. Can you pull up? Can you pull up the Dolphins? Like, I don't know how I want to ask this, but what did the Dolphins do from 83 to 90? How far did they get in the playoffs? And we know 84 they went to the Super Bowl. But I'd like to see if he even got them to the cusp of the Super Bowl. I know.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, I mean, I know in 99, his last year when Jimmy Johnson was the coach, they lost to the Jaguars in the...
I got it here for you.
All right.
So you want to know every year here, or how do you want to break it?
Well, no, after 84. 85, did they get the playoffs?
They won the divisional playoffs against the Browns, lost in the conference championship to the Patriots.
Okay, so they lost to the conference championship. 87.
86, no
86.
postseason. 87, no postseason.
Right.
88, no postseason. 89, no postseason.
Okay.
90, they won the wild card, lost the divisional to the Bills.
All right.
91, no postseason.
Right.
92, they won the divisional, lost the conference to the Bills.
Okay.
93, no postseason. 94, they won the wild card, lost divisional to the Chargers.
Okay.
95, they lost the wild card at the Bills.
Right.
96, no playoffs.
Right.
97, they lost the wild card at the Patriots.
Okay.
98, they won the wild card, lost the divisional game.
Right.
99, they won the wild card, lost the divisional game
to the Jaguars.
Jaguars.
Okay. Now, I asked you to pull that up because I had an agenda. You can say Manning never or Marino never won a Super Bowl, and that's correct. But he didn't even get him close to the Super Bowl, except for 1 year.
In some of these years, it said they were they finished first. I guess that means the first seed in their conference.
Yeah. Whatever. But my point is,
so they have really good teams.
Well, that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
So they missed the postseason. I think you rattled off at least 6 years that they missed the postseason.
From 83 to 99.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Well, those 80s years were his
7.
prime years.
Yeah, right. 7 times they missed the playoffs. Joseph just made a great point. The 80 years were his prime years, okay?
He missed it from 86 to 89.
Right.
Yeah.
So my point is, how great... anybody can put up stats. Yeah. If you're athletic and you got a good arm...
Matthew Stafford.
Right, exactly.
He's not a winner.
So I'm just wondering why Marino carries so much weight.
Well, because at the time of his retirement, not only did he put up stats, but he was the most prolific of all time.
I understand that, and that's great. But
Matthew Stafford's not going to... He can finish his career the most prolific passer of all time.
Didn't we talk about in baseball... Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Earlier, maybe we were a little harsh on John Elway. he took the Broncos to the Super Bowl and got his ass kicked 3 times, but he got him there.
That's right. Right.
In the 80s.
That's right. And then we talked about in baseball how as time goes by, your accomplishments probably get a little bit more stellar when you start comparing to other guys that have come by. So, if you look at Marino when he retired, he was the most prolific passer ever. But as you start to look further, those numbers are getting surpassed. And then when you start comparing him on results, he really didn't produce the results. Because what is football all about? What is any sport all about? Winning championships, or at least having a chance to win them.
This is a personal list, a personal accomplishment list, kind of, right? It's not all-time greatest teams, it's greatest players.
No, but what I'm saying.
I understand that. But if you're a quarterback... you can make that argument for other positions, but if you're a quarterback, one of the things you have to be able to do is lead your team to a championship. That's why we talk about franchise quarterbacks, right? And Joseph's right. Elway at least got them there 5 times. Marino got them there once and basically, spit the bit, all the other times. So I'm starting to think that Marino should be on that list.
Yeah. Based on what we talked about, I'd put Elway in for sure because it was questionable, and maybe Breeze can take Marino's spot.
Yeah,
because they're both kind of in the modern era.
In fact, Otto Graham should be in there before Marino. Would you agree?
No, that's a little harsh.
All right.
How about this? How about Put Marino in Graham's spot and Breeze in Marino's spot. Keep them both, but take out Graham.
That's fine. I mean, based on the reasoning for Marino, Bump Bailey from the New York Knights should be in the Hall of Fame.
He was the most prolific outfielder.
I'm going to say he's out.
And he died trying to catch a fly ball going through the wall.
Yeah. All right. Joe Montana is the next on the list.
Yeah, well, you know how I feel about Joe Montana.
Dan Marino's a rich man's Matthew Stafford. Right?
Yes, he is.
But go ahead.
All right.
Joe Montana.
Just like LeBron is a rich man's Iguodala.
In the year 2110, when they have the next 100 years, Stafford will be on that list.
Yeah.
It's funny too. Pro Football Reference. Most of the headshots for people are like their official team headshots or whatever. It has a picture of Marino in the suit. Like it looks like he's like a business photo.
Yeah, because he probably doesn't want himself associated with it.
With his playing career.
Montana in next.
Montana. I mean, go ahead and read his accomplishments. How many times was he an All-Pro?
3-time All-Pro.
How many times was he MVP?
2-time MVP.
All right.
4-time Super Bowl champion.
Right, 3-time Super Bowl MVP.
Okay, let's see some of his bio here on the official NFL website if you want to take it as truth. All right.
Played with Ralph Miranda.
He did.
In college.
He's a Hall of Famer, obviously.
Yeah, no question.
Okay, he led the 49ers. Okay, that's where I would start with this. Master of comebacks, nicknamed Joe Cool. Led the 49ers to 4 Super Bowl titles in the 80s, tied for the second most among quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Winning Super Bowl MVP 3 times, the second most. Orchestrated 92-yard winning drive, throwing touchdown with 8 seconds left in Super Bowl 23, which, okay. Back-to-back NFL MVP awards, 89-90.
Right.
Highest rated passer in Super Bowl history with 127.8, 11 touchdowns, no interceptions.
No interceptions.
Didn't throw a pick in the Super Bowl.
Didn't throw in 4 Super Bowls.
11 touchdowns. Made
That's impressive.
All-decade team, stuff like that. 75th anniversary team.
And if you look at the same thing I asked you to do with Marino, which I kind of know off the top of my head, in 81 they won the Super Bowl. In 82 that was the strike year. Okay. 83 they lost to the Redskins in the NFC Championship game on a questionable call. 84 they won the Super Bowl. 85 they won the won the Super Bowl.
The Bears won the Super Bowl.
The Bears won the Super Bowl. That's right. They lost to the Bears. 86 they lost to the Giants in the divisional round. 87 I forget who they lost to, but
87 they lost to the Vikings.
88 they lost to the Bears.
88 they won the Super Bowl.
They won the Super Bowl.
That's right. They won the Super Bowl. 89 they won the Super Bowl. 90 they lost to the Giants in the NFC Championship game. 91 they missed it, and then 92 I think he was his last year. I don't think he played much in 92.
Okay. Well, they lost to the Cowboys in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, but he was injured. That was Steve Young.
So you read them all though? Or do I need to go back?
No, that's enough because then he went to the Chiefs. My point is, he was pretty much led his team to the brink of the Super Bowl almost every year he played.
And I'll say this too: like before him in the 70s, the 49ers were nothing.
Nothing.
And after him, basically, well, in the 90s they were good with Steve Young, but then after that,
for 1 year, yeah.
Well, through 98 they were making the playoffs.
I'm just glad Steve Young didn't make this list.
Anyways, I think it's interesting. He's how he's Joe Cool with the comebacks there. I thought maybe we look at his fourth quarter comebacks. He has 26, which is pretty high. One less than Eli Manning.
Right.
Led the league once with 3 and 87, but that stat's kind of ridiculous. I don't know, but
he's obviously on the team.
Yeah, I don't.
I saw one of his comebacks, by the way. Before you guys were born, Mommy and I lived in Cincinnati. We went to the Bengals 49ers game. It was in 1987. Okay, the Bengals were leading by less than a touchdown, and the 49ers had like maybe 40 seconds. He took the 49ers 80 yards and threw a touchdown pass to Jerry Rice for like 45 yards for a touchdown. I mean, he was unbelievable, Joe Montana.
That was in 87, so that was the year he led with 3.
Yeah. And that was a strike year, too, by the way. But anyway, yeah, he's in. Montana's in.
So, by the strike year, you're saying it was short and he
Short
didn't have as many games to play?
Well, they had 82, they only played eight or 9 games because they went a long time without playing any games that year.
They played 9-8. He played 9-8, I'm assuming he's...
That's all they played, right, because they went a long time without any games because of strike.
Okay.
There was no football for a while. 87, the NFL learned their lesson. They had a strike. One Sunday they went without football. Then they brought in the replacement players for 3 times, and then the strike broke. Montana, in fact, was one of the first guys to cross the picket line, and then all the big guys came back, and they ended up finishing the season.
He played 13 games that year.
Right.
87.
Right. Because 1 game was missed, and then 2 games were replacement players for them.
Yeah, missed, but I mean, there's no games.
No games that Sunday.
He only played 1 game in 92. That was the year
That was the year he was hurt, because the Giants hurt him in I think it was 90 or 91.
Another thing that kind of stands out for his games played, he only played 8 in 86. Did he get hurt in 86?
86. I don't remember. He might have been hurt that year. I don't remember exactly.
It was.
That was the year the Giants. That was the year the Giants won the Super Bowl. I think he was hurt that year.
So we're good on him?
We're good on Montana.
Yeah. 2 more on the list. All right. Next up is Roger Staubach.
He's out.
All right.
He's out.
Let me pull up his quick superlatives here.
Put Bradshaw on over him. They're the same person basically.
We can compare the two.
Except Bradshaw won more Super Bowls.
He did.
All right. Staubach is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Was not the All-Pro.
Never All-Pro.
Team, no.
Was he ever the MVP?
No.
Right.
He's Super Bowl MVP.
Super Bowl MVP.
Let's see. He was the Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
This is the NFL list,
That
though.
shouldn't matter.
Yeah. Low note for his last-minute heroics. Guided Dallas to 4 Super Bowl appearances, including 2 titles. Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 6 with 2 passing touchdowns, 115.9 passer rating. One of 6 quarterbacks ever to start 4 Super Bowls. Retired as the highest-rated passer in NFL history. Led NFL in passer rating 4 times, tied for the 3rd all-time. That's kind of where it stops there.
Yeah.
What did you say for All-Pro?
None.
No.
And Terry Bradshaw was a MVP and a 1-time All-Pro, 4-time Super Bowl champion. So Staubach, we said, was no All-Pros, no MVPs, 2-time Super Bowl champion. So
yeah. See, that's interesting. I mean, that's really interesting right there. I mean, based on what you just said, just on that alone, I think Bradshaw deserves to be in over Staubach. Yeah.
The blonde bomber, as he's called.
Yeah, the blonde bomber, right.
Staubach, the Roger the Dodger, or comeback captain.
Right.
I mean, I don't know about their career passing numbers, but they can't be that different.
Well, let's look at the all-time list. Career passing numbers list. Passing yards, Staubach's not in the top 20.
Well, I'm saying compare the both.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to look at the list. Just look at.
So Terry Bradshaw, his all-time yards. 27,989. Roger Staubach, 22,700. So he's got like what?
Interesting.
5,000 more passing yards.
Yeah.
Terry Bradshaw threw for 212 touchdowns.
Right.
Roger Staubach threw for 153 touchdowns.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
He played for the Cowboys.
Right.
Roger Staubach, famous name. He won the Heisman Trophy.
Right.
That's why they put
and
him
Bradshaw was kind of a rebel. You know, I mean, he was like he was a country music type guy. He struggled his first few years. I mean, I think there's a little politics going on there. I really do.
I say he's out.
Again, we don't know what they're picking for. Maybe the people picking the list had an agenda.
We don't know. That's correct. But I mean, based on our discussion for this podcast, I think Bradshaw deserves to be in over Staubach.
I will say, if watching the old those old NFL tapes like NFL Crunch Time was taught me anything, Bradshaw took way more abuse than Staubach.
No question. No question. That's right.
So he had to the fact that he kept playing, he played every game. I'm sorry. The fact that he played through all that is my point.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
Next on the list.
Last one
is this is probably pretty unanimous one. Is Johnny Unitas.
I'm not convinced.
Okay, let's look it up here. All right.
That's another one. Black high tops. Johnny U. If his name was like Dan Smith and he played for the Broncos and more regular shoes.
Like long hair or something. He's 5-time All-Pro. Wow. 3-time NFL champion, 1-time Super Bowl champion. They don't count the 1 and the 3-time NFL champion, do they?
No.
Okay. 3-time MVP. It's all pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good right there.
Look at his bio. Led the Colts to 2 NFL titles plus 2 Super Bowl appearances, winning one of those in Super Bowl 5.
Right.
3-time NFL MVP. He co-won in 59, but it's included the 3 times. Retired as NFL leader in passing yards, passing touchdowns. Threw for 1 or more passing touchdowns in 47 straight games.
That's right. Manning broke that.
The NFL mark that stood for 52 years.
Right, I do remember that. You got that gun for him.
Right.
And then other stuff is the typical kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he deserves to be over Staubach.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And another thing he's got going for him, we talked about Namath, the Gary. He won the what's called the greatest game ever played in 1958, the overtime game against the Giants.
He didn't guarantee it, though.
He didn't guarantee it. That's right. That's right.
It was in Yankee Stadium.
It was in Yankee Stadium.
He lost the name at the Super Bowl 3.
He did. He didn't start that game, though. Earl Morrall started that game. That's right. He was hurt. He was hurt early in that season, and Morrall came in and led the Colts to the. But then they put Unitas in late in the game when they were down 16-0, and he led them to a touchdown. They lost 16-7.
So the backup took them throughout most of the season, and they didn't have playoffs, did they? It was just
the NFL just had basically one game or 2 games.
so.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think based on what I heard there for Unitas, based on some of the other guys.
So
you want to look at anything else for him, or are you good?
No, one time read the finalist again, not the guys around the team.
All right, here are the finalists again.
See if anybody else jumps out at me that can put in over him. Steve Young should go in over him.
You want me to just touch on the ones who didn't make it? Is that okay? Let's see. Troy Aikman, Terry Bradshaw.
I think he should be in.
Who should?
Bradshaw. We said he should be in.
They meant Aikman. Okay. Yeah. Drew Brees.
Yeah,
I think he should be in.
Dan Fouts.
No.
Bobby Lane.
No.
Sid Luckman.
No.
Aaron Rodgers.
No.
Bart Starr. Fran Tarkenton, which I think Tarkenton maybe.
Starr and Tarkenton compared to Unitas, I don't know about that.
Let's keep going here. Norm Van Brocklin, Steve Young.
Yeah, Tarkenton is a lot like Elway without the 2 Super Bowls. He led the Vikings to four, right? But they didn't win. And
One-time All-Pro, one-time MVP.
Basically, Elway was Tarkenton except for those final 2 years.
Right.
The Super Bowl twice.
Right.
How many did Tarkenton lead him to?
4.
No, actually 3. Joe Kapp led them to the Super Bowl 4.
But Elway is a one-time MVP, no All-Pros, and Tarkenton was one MVP, one All-Pro. So yeah, he didn't have those 2 redeeming years though.
Yeah.
Did you guys want
Bart Starr?
Bart Starr was a good quarterback, but Bart Starr was a lot like
it's like a system quarterback.
Yeah, he was a lot like he led the Packers to 3 NFL championships, 2 Super Bowl championships, 5 NFL championships. Excuse me.
2 Super Bowl championships, 1 MVP, 1 All-Pro.
Right.
I was going to say, but he gets a lot of the spotlight for winning the first 2 Super Bowls. But like you said, he led to 5 championships before that.
Right.
So it's not like it was.
Yeah. Bart Starr was a good quarterback. I mean, I think you could make the case for Bart Starr and for Drew Brees for sure. Bradshaw.
I think we've definitively decided Brees needs to be in there and Bradshaw needs to be in there in place of Staubach and Marino.
Yeah.
I guess I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would hear arguments for Tarkenton and Starr over Unitas, but
I'm not saying Unitas is out, but I would hear arguments that he's out.
I would agree with that to a degree, but I think Starr carries a little more weight than Tarkenton because of his accomplishments.
Yeah, maybe because I didn't think of that. I didn't think of the 5 NFL championships. That's
Tarkenton was a great quarterback, but Starr was the guy. I mean, he was pretty good.
Cool.
So, interesting.
All right.
So we've basically solved the quarterback problem.
Yeah, I'm glad we solved that.
I am too. I'm glad we dissected it.
Yeah,
because when you start looking at it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's a good first episode of our NFL 100 series, which we look to continue here with some other positions coming up. Anything else to add on your end?
No, I think that's great. I think what I'd like to do between now and the next time we come on with a podcast and go to the next position is I'm going to do some research and see if I can find what the criteria they use for these selections. They may not be making it public.
Yeah. Best I can tell, it's like Rich Eisen and Belcher saying, this guy's in.
They talk about it.
No, I think they
you don't think they have any vote in it?
I don't know. They might. I don't know that. But I'm saying there was obviously some criteria, and I'm going to see if I can find it.
Not only the criteria, but do you even know who the committee that voted?
I don't know who, but I thought I did hear them say in the first show I watched that there was a select committee of people who hammered all this out.
They didn't say who it was.
They
didn't say what criteria they were going.
No, I'm going to find out.
That's kind of ridiculous. You're going to present the world with a list like this and not tell them the criteria or who voted them in?
Right. Well, because then obviously some of the stuff we've been talking about today would be
pretty obvious.
Unearthed. Yeah.
like the Jerry Jones had 2 votes on the list. That's where Roger Staubach got it.
All right. So with that being said, be sure to follow us on Twitter at PressBoxPod. Subscribe on iTunes, and where you can look forward to some more of these football episodes. And as well as listen to our 2 previous baseball episodes we released, Hall of Fame In or Out if you missed that. And we'll see you next time on the Press Box Podcast.